May I have your attention, please? I'll try this. Dobry wieczór. Thank you. Thank you. It's actually my first trip to this beautiful city. And I'm very honored to be here. And I'm very honored to come straight away to this place after my flight was delayed for more than 10 hours in Beijing. But nevertheless, after seeing you, I think I have full energy tonight. And this is also my first ever speech that was done in such a nice way. That means I got to sit. In all other speeches I make, I always stand and walk around. But because today we have YouTube broadcast, so I was asked to limit my movement. So that's fine. I would enjoy really sitting here. So that would be a very easy speech. But they also come with challenge. That means it's difficult for me to engage with all of you, audience, which I always do. Tomorrow afternoon, I will give a workshop called Capturing the Audience. Unfortunately, today, I cannot demonstrate to you how I capture the audience because I'm confined with this seat. But nevertheless, I'll do my best. Now, tonight I was asked by the organizer to talk about the global trend of innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, first, I'd like to mention that my name is perhaps the shortest in the world. I see a lot of your name is quite long. So you should really remember my name. I always joke with people, if you don't remember my name, perhaps you won't even remember your own name. Or you should see a doctor, for that matters. So I am the Assistant Dean and Chief Representative for Europe for Cheung Kong Graduate School of Business. This is a leading business school in China. We have produced some of the very well-known world entrepreneurs such as Jack Ma of Alibaba and co-founder of Tencent, chairman of Sinopec, etc., etc. So we proud ourselves of being the leading business school that we have collections of the top chairmen and CEOs in our class, in our business school. And together, our business school represents close to about 15% of the Chinese GDP through our chairman, CEO of their companies. Now that has been said enough. Let's go with the global trend of innovation and entrepreneurship. This is a new era in our human society where we see innovation is everywhere. It's not just in Silicon Valley as we understood in the past, but also exists in every corner of the world. I mentioned a few exotic places that I have been to, and perhaps you have never been to those small countries, but they're doing amazing things, very amazing things. So some of those countries, like as small as Luxembourg, for instance, very tiny little country, and yet they're doing amazing things. Ireland, from a global innovation point of view, many people think Ireland is a poor country, but they're doing amazing things there. I go to Istanbul. There is an incubator, has more than 50,000 startups. So again, it's a country, normally people doesn't think innovation comes from there. Yet, the 10th annual Global Entrepreneurship Summit was held in Istanbul this year. So I go to countries like Israel. Obviously, everybody thinks innovation comes from Israel. And then I come to a very big country that is very well known by the world to be a country of Me Too innovation or copycats. You all know that country's name. That's called China. And innovation is on every corner and city of China. And I just visited one of the cities in China called Guangzhou. It's not far away from Shenzhen and Hong Kong. Currently, they have a high-speed train between Hong Kong and Guangzhou. And now make it less than 45 minutes. And between Shenzhen and Hong Kong as well. So we see a lot of movement. In Guangzhou, they are building a new innovation city, similar to SK Innovation Center in Moscow, which I had a privilege to speak in the Startup Village for 2 masterclass, and also a special event organized for me in the Skycube Innovation Center a few months ago. Now, I am very much impressed with the effort the Russian government has been putting into the innovation and entrepreneurship. This is a country that you do not need to innovate. You have a lot of natural resources, but yet you decided to change that and really drive that. I think it's a great move. After my presentation, you will understand why this is important. So let me share with you, from a global point of view, the relationship between innovation and entrepreneurship. And traditionally, we see some countries are innovators, and some countries are producing the jobs that are coming from innovations. And we see a very strong correlation between innovation and entrepreneurship in a specific country. So if you look at this curve, which I'm going to show you here, this curve, it's very difficult. I'm sorry for that. It's very difficult to see this, but basically you will see that globally, all the companies, innovation and entrepreneurship are in direct correlation. And you will see in USA, entrepreneurship are slightly stronger than the innovation. In China, innovation are stronger than the entrepreneurship. Now, many people may feel a little bit confused when you read this chart. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean China is more innovative than America, and America are more entrepreneurial than Chinese. That simply means in America, there are more jobs that was created. There are more people who are in the innovation sector, in the entrepreneurship, and then, the people in the traditional industry. So we need to correctly understand that. And if you look at the next chart, this one is talking about, the job that was created as a percentage of the innovation, of the innovative job as a percentage of the total job creation. Now, in America, startups account for only 3% of the entire non-agricultural sector. So that means only 3%, of the startups, the companies, represent startups in the non-agricultural sector. But yet, 20% of the new jobs are coming from those startups. That means startups indeed create more jobs for the industry, for the country. That's why globally, all the government are promoting entrepreneurship and startup. No matter where you go. I was at Horace's conference in Portugal early this year. We had a panel discussion. I collected a group of elite panelists. We discuss and debate about this. And some panelists believe the global phenomenon of entrepreneurship has one problem. That is the quality of the project, quality of the technology. Because everybody wanted to go with the innovation, go with entrepreneurship. But not everybody are doing the right thing. But nevertheless, all the panelists at the end concluded that entrepreneurship is still a wonderful way to promote innovation and drive the global economy and create the jobs. So that's why it's very important for us to all understand this. And we're working with the United Nations to really change that and drive a paradigm shift of global startup ecosystem, which I will explain to you later on what we're trying to do. In 2018, Global Entrepreneurship Index which I'm going to show you here. And you will see from those, the green area represent, very innovative, countries. The countries emphasize on innovation. And the yellow ones represent the less or least innovative ones. And here, perhaps you will see Russia is somewhere in the middle. Now, part of the reason is because of your population. You are a very large country by land, but your population density is not quite there. So don't feel bad that your region is not that hugely, green. So, but it's also a good thing that it still have, space to grow. Now, this slides you perhaps cannot see very well, but I'll explain to you. The Global Innovative Index in 2017 has given the number one country to be Switzerland. And number 2 is Sweden. Number 3 is Netherlands. And then US, UK, Denmark, Singapore, Finland, Germany, Ireland. Those are the top 10. Now from here, you will see only US and Singapore out of the top 10 are not European countries. This is very interesting. Everybody thinks innovation is more of an American thing, but here we are. We see Europeans are actually leading in innovation. This is very interesting to see. And Switzerland, a very small country, quite innovative. I go to Switzerland a lot. They not just have a wonderful banking system. They're not just about, creating the world's most sophisticated watch. I visited one of the watch factory. They have such an amazing, fine, refined watch factory. Use the trial tourbillon. Maybe some of you wear that. It's so sophisticated. But Switzerland is all about other technologies. For instance, clean tech is very big in Switzerland. And healthcare is very big in Switzerland. And pharmaceutical and medical device, etc., etc. And Sweden, interesting, we do a lot of events in Sweden. There is the largest accelerator in Sweden called SUP 46, SUP 46. Now, what I mean is that they bring 46 companies together in that incubator. That's the largest accelerator in the entire country. Can you imagine that? What does that mean? Where does the people go? Where does the startup go? Here you have a wonderful facility. You go to SK Innovation Center. They have so many entrepreneurs there. After they finish the entire construction, I heard there will be 30,000 startups being there. But in Sweden, only 46 companies gather in that one facility, and they call them the number one in the country. What does the Swedish people do? Swedish, weather is very harsh, very cold. So majority of people prefer to innovate in their own home. Now, this is very interesting. In this country, your country, you produce many great thinkers, philosophers, and poets, and writers in the history. And even today, the Chinese are learning about that. I grew up learning from Pushkin. And when I was visiting St. Petersburg, I made a special trip to see his statue. And I spent a lot of time to find him. That shows how important he is as a figure in the Chinese heart. And then I learned, actually, he did not speak Russian until 7 years old because he was speaking, French. Now, what is Swedish people do? What I'm saying here is, one of the important things is today we are so busy. We forgot to spend time to be with ourselves. Swedish people do that. They spend time with themselves. They think. They became more independent. Our current society have one big problem with the social media. We became slave of social media. You're constantly on Facebook, on Twitter, including the president of Donald Trump. He wake up, first thing is look at the Twitter and send a message, and the whole world will start to shake. So we became slave of those social media, and we don't have time to really think. Disruptive technology need to come from deep thinking. That's very important for us to understand. I teach a class called The Innovator's DNA to talk about how disruptive technology can be created. Now, in our present society, we spend too much time to social with each other, which is important. I'm not denying that. But we need to spend an equal amount of the time to belong to ourselves, to really think. I was teaching a famous Chinese philosophy called The Art of the War in London. After about 2,700 years of this book being published, and still in the modern society, people still wanted to listen to it. I was very shocked with that. Why in ancient time we have so many philosophers, so many thinkers? Because these people really think. Today we don't think. We follow other people. We are influenced by our society, by other people's behavior. That makes it very difficult for us to come up with disruptive technologies. Swedish people do not go to incubator a lot. They spend time at their home to innovate, to think, to come up with ideas. That's why they are able to come with a number of great ideas, including also Finland. The Finnish people have one unique thing, which is they spend a lot of time in sauna. This is the country of sauna. You go to there, they will treat you with sauna. Maybe you don't feel comfortable, to be half naked, to be with your friend in sauna. But that's what they do. So it's the same. Finland, Denmark, Sweden, they all create some of the world's most significant innovation and technologies. And now let's look at, Israel. Israel is actually not on the top 10, which is very interesting. I led a group of the entrepreneurs from our school, the chairman CEOs, to Israel in April this year. And what we have learned in Israel, very interesting, Israeli people on average, including taxi driver, including farmer, including everybody, they read 43 books a year. 43 books a year on average. This is a nation who really like to read. And this country are doing only one thing, that is to develop technology from 0 to 1. There is no market in Israel. It's a small country, small land. People there do not expect them to develop a technology and commercialize it. And what they expect to do is to bring that technology to the rest of the world, including America, China, Europe, and they expect them to develop technology from 1 to 100. That's what this country is doing. So they're quite innovative, considering such a small country for that. But still, they didn't made it to the top. Why? Because Israeli companies so far are not unable to create a large innovation. They have lots of small technologies here and there, but they so far has not created large disruptive technologies like some of those Nordic countries have done. So here we are, Switzerland, for 7 consecutive years are on the top of that. So we have to really study that, why this country are so innovative. This is in the middle of the Europe. It's in connection with Italy and France and Germany. And so they are in the center of it. They do not talk about politics. They talk about innovation and economics. So that makes them very strong in the global entrepreneurship group. Here, China on 22. Very interesting to see that, China on 22. So now I would like to share with you the global trend of the innovation and entrepreneurship. I have selected 12 industries because we only have 2 hours here. I could go, continue going until midnight, but maybe you're going to all leave. So we're going to talk about 12 industries and talk about the latest trend and innovation in those industries. Start with AI technology, which is disrupting our whole world and society. And second, fintech. Fintech has a lot to do with our daily life. And blockchain. Blockchains became very interesting. And I'll share some of my view. And as a matter of fact, some of my view are quite different from majority of the people's view, but I really believe what I say. And then new retailing, O plus O. New energy, genetic engineering. And then we're going to talk about new materials and big health, IoT, Internet of Things, new food, and aerospace industry, and cosmetics and health industry. So let's go one by one in light of the time. First, artificial intelligence. Everybody perhaps know DeepMind. Does anyone know where this company come from? Which city they are in? Anyone? Yes, please. Chicago. Wonderful. I used to live in Chicago. Thank you so much. But not. Chicago again. DeepMind Chicago. After everybody started to say Chicago, I started to worry about it, whether I'm wrong. It's actually not an American company. It's a London-based company. Now, I forgive you. Why everybody think about it's American company or Chicago? Because we think all those breakthrough technology come from there. But I want to give you credit because you're also part of Europe. European, I always say this, European are in the human history always emphasize on knowledge and ideas. American is emphasizing on commercialization. So American know how to make money. European know how to come up with ideology. So this is a separation. This is a difference between these two continents. And I live in France right now. I've been living in Paris for 10 years. After I arrive in France, I find so many amazing opportunities that French people doesn't look at it. The average French people want to become a government official, work in a government, process papers. That's their dream job. And then they go home, have a wonderful time, vacation, all that stuff. But in America, everybody want to be an entrepreneur. They want to have their own company. But DeepMind was created in London. It's a London-based company. And AlphaGo, we know the Google AlphaGo, decided to acquire them, particularly after they emerged very strongly on the artificial intelligence. In 2016, they had the robots play the chess with basically the human being, and the robots win. So that was a driving force of the popularity of DeepMind and also driving force of artificial intelligence globally. So the revolution of the AI is very strong after 2016. And it has moving so fast, it's 10 times faster and 300 times, bigger and 3,000 times more impactful than the Industrial Revolution. So this is a phenomenon in our worldwide society. We start to see all those happenings. And also we start to see that the AI, we predicted AI by 2025 will produce close to 33 trillion US dollar annual economic impacts. That is huge. That is huge. And it's now. It's not talking about in a remote future. It's talking about now. So we really need to pay attention to that. In the next 5 years, AI will eliminate 7.1 million jobs in 50 major economies. And in the same period of time, only 2 million new jobs will be created to our society. So immediately we start to see a problem. There will be more job elimination and less job creation. How can we function in a society where we start to lose a job? I'll be speaking in Paris in September on a conference called Change Now. So I'll address that issue. We need to change. We need to start to change now. And we need to change our future. Otherwise, there will be no future. So if you happen to be in that conference, you will hear that. Now today I will not address that to a great extent, but towards the end I will share with you how do we deal with that? How do we deal with the future where there's no job or less job, fewer job, and what kind of skill you need? So stay tuned. Toward the end of this presentation, I'll spend elaborate amount of the time to share with you about that. So many jobs will be eliminated. So what kind of job will be eliminated? Basically, it's the middleman. If you're the lawyer, you should start to rethink about your job. If you're accountants, the middleman, real estate agent, things like that. And labor-intensive jobs. The first wave of the robots are basically replacing those service industry individuals. So you need to start to rethink about it. Personal assistance. I share with you a story. I was corresponding with the CEO and through the email. And then after I met him, I was corresponding with his assistant, Amy. And when I finally met him, I said, "Oh, your PA, Amy, is amazing, wonderful. She's so considerate. In the morning, she will say good morning. In the evening, say good evening. She even remind me that, Mr. G, you should go to bed now while you're still working." And then he said, "You know what? Amy is a robot. He's not a human being." So this is already in use. We start to use. In China, there are many, many teenagers. In Chinese society, we had a period of time that we try to control the population. So we had a one-child policy. So the people who born in the 80s and 90s, they only have one child in their family. So those child in the high school, in the primary school, they need to talk to someone. So all of a sudden, these people are talking to Siri, the Apple's Siri. And they're talking like, "Oh, today I had a terrible time in the school, so someone bullied me." And they cry to the Siri. And Siri will be comforting them. "And today I win a game. I'm so happy. Oh, I achieved a full score." You see, artificial intelligence is reality. It's no longer the future. It's now. So we need to understand that. And AI became the cornerstone of the new retail industry. Now AI is helping. I brought the company to China recently, last month. And they are using AI technology to help the shop to better position them to sell the product. For instance, they don't gather consumer data. Don't take me wrong. They don't take consumer data. They don't understand what's your age, what's your income level. They don't do that. They only take the human facial expression, how much time you stop in front of a particular clothes, particular cosmetic product, and your behavior. They do behavior analysis through deep learning process. And then using cameras, security camera, existing cameras in the shop as a way to gathering those information, and then better position the advertisement and the product in front of the consumer. So AI is being applied in the retail industry right now. intelligent transportation, manufacturing, all those has been used. So if we look at the VC fund into the artificial intelligence, it's simply astonishing. After 2016, in 2017, the VC investment globally tripled, 3 times of the level of 2016. So we start to see the people really putting the money into that, and particularly in the quarter three of last year, we see large amount of the investment into the artificial intelligence part. And it's more than 3 times, actually 340 times of the 2016 levels. And from 2012 to 2017, we see a CAGR of 85%. 85% CAGR in terms of investment growth for that. The top 5 AI funding events account for 40% of the fourth quarter of 2017. 40%. Yeah. Top 5. So that means the industry are concentrated in a few players. Now, let me share with you who are those few players. If you look at the board or in front of you, you will see. Out of the top 5, 4 are Chinese companies. So McVie and raised a Series C funding of close to $500 million in November 1st, 2017. And UBTech, again Chinese company, Series C, $400,000 in November 15th, 2017. And then you will see the USA only IM Plus received $117,000 in November in 2017. So majority of the funding, majority of the companies are the Chinese AI companies. So Chinese are in a rising speed in the AI technology area. Now, if we look at the Chinese AI industry, the market for AI-related services is growing to about $1.3 billion by 2020. From in 2015, about $200 million. I will not bore you with all those detailed data. But what is worthwhile to see is China really dominated global AI funding. The Chinese equity fund share out of the total global funding for the AI technology account for 48%. We could easily say 50% or half of the global, AI-related funding come from China. Now, many people will ask me, why is this? Why Chinese have so much money here? Now, I will explain to you the following. First of all, China now have more than, we have more billionaires than America. Before, America has more billionaires, but China has more billionaires now. China has a lot of new rich due to the privatization, due to the Chinese economy growth. Now, Chinese economic growth represent close to 50% of the global economic growth. And Chinese GDP are growing at about 6.5% right now. But in the past decade, China was growing at a double digit. So if we look at those data, we understand why there are lots of Chinese money these days. And second, if we look at the Wall Street, I don't know what is the Dow Jones industry average today, but it's about 25,000 points. After financial crisis, the Dow Jones industry average basically crashed to like few thousand points, like 2,000 points. Now grew like 10 times, more than 10 times. But if you look at the Chinese stock price 10 years ago, it was, Chinese have a Shanghai Stock Exchange have the index. 10 years ago, the index was 2,700 points. And today, after 10 years, guess what is the point? It's still 2,700. That means that if you put the money into the stock market in China, you do not make money. That's why a lot of money are not in the stock market. That's why many Chinese companies choose not to be listed in China. They choose to be listed in America, in New York Stock Exchange, in NASDAQ. They go to Hong Kong to be listed. So with that, the Chinese has really abundant capitals to invest in the startups, in the artificial intelligence. Now, U.S., this number is 38%. The rest of the world represents 13%. So China and the U.S. are absolutely dominating on this. We also start to see the cross-border AI investment. That means that do not expect you have a project here, then the Russian investor will invest in you. More likely it will be Chinese investor or American investor or European investor investing in you. So investment is becoming a global phenomenon. Entrepreneurship became global collaboration. So you should not just sit at home and expect people will come to invest. And you should go out and do it. Artificial intelligence in terms of deal share in 2017, United States is losing its global AI deal share. And the non-U.S. share is now represent 50%, and U.S. represent 50%. Before, in 2013, U.S. was 73%. And now we start to see the U.S. is going down, the rest of the world is going up. So we start to see the deal flow change. The AI currently are concentrated in three main sectors. One is healthcare. A lot of healthcare-related industry in terms of using robots, which I'll explain a little bit later, for the hospital use, for instance, operations, and elderly care, and recovery, help the patients to recover. Yeah, we see a lot of innovation around that. And second is the robots. Those robots could be anything, everywhere. Could be education. Today I met a company here on education. And robots on cleaning, lawn moving, industrial use, delivering vehicles, and in terms of the self-driving cars, etc. And third is conventional AI robots. So for instance, like you do the talk to the, you chat robots and things like that. So, I forgot to, change the slides here. Yeah, you can take a quick look at that. And Alibaba, I'll give you a few examples because I come from China. I'd like to share with you some of the Chinese cases here. Alibaba is doing a robots, Apsara, the supercomputational system of Alibaba, deal with data, deal with scheduling capability, which is very important for the Alibaba platform, security, very important, and practice in the massive scale and open ecosystem. So Alibaba is really, really embracing the artificial intelligence. I must tell you, we have to have a very calm mind. I do not like to follow other people's behavior. I encourage you as an entrepreneur, never do that. But AI is exception. AI is a global phenomenon. Blockchain, you need to be careful. I'll come to that very quickly soon. So you should have your own idea. You should really understand what you're doing. Many entrepreneurs have one problem. That is, they do not have their own view. That's why today I want to share with you my own view. Some of my views are quite different from other main channels, including from the Silicon Valley. But I will prove that this is important to have a very, very independent and also original view for that. And Alibaba also, data intelligence, for instance, here, they deal with the data capture, use AI technology to capture the data, and use the data application and computing. They use AI to do the deep computing, machine learning, data processing, data analysis in those areas. They also have platform artificial intelligence in terms of text analysis. They can analyze the text. If you use the Alibaba Taobao Taobao is like Amazon. It's like eBay. It's very advanced. So when I use that, recently I did some shopping there. They have the AI to know what you wanted to type. They make us so lazy. They detect what you wanted to do. They make it so simple for you. This is AI technology, direct application in the e-commerce for the Alibaba platform. And AliCloud. Now, AliCloud was doing really well. They're now expanding globally for AliCloud. They're helping small businesses as well. So they use AliCloud to help them to deploy the big data, to help them. In China, data protection is not quite strong. So Alibaba collects lots of data. They are able to use those data to help small, medium businesses on their platform to generate sales. So AliCloud play a crucial role. They deal with intelligent city, intelligent life, and they do the image understanding, etc. For instance, they are able to use the image. For instance, you saw someone wear a very nice bag. A lady, perhaps in this room, saw a very beautiful bag, and you're like, man, I want to have that bag. But you're shy to ask them, where did you buy? What brand it is? Now you can take your phone, pretend taking a photo, and you take a photo of that bag. You upload into the Taobao store, and they're going to find out what exactly this bag is and tell you where you can buy. Immediate link for that. So they're using that to really help you to find solutions for the e-commerce. And Ant Financial, maybe you know, their chief strategic officer of Ant Financial are one of our professors. And he joined Alibaba because they offer him multi-million-dollar packages that we couldn't possibly match. So he's doing very well there. Now, Ant Financial are on track to be the fintech global leader. They are one of the large unicorns with about $75 billion valuation. They haven't gone through the IPO yet. They're part of Alibaba empire. Once they go through IPO, I think Alibaba value will be significant. And they have Alipay. They have, more than 520 million users using Alipay. And PayPal, if you want to understand how big this is, what is the total amount of the PayPal user globally? It's 200 million. 200 million. That gives you a sense of how big Alipay is. Yeah. Now we also have the WeChat Pay. So very significant. So they're on track to using AI to deal with the payment. And also the Tencent. Tencent is building a big ecosystem using AI technologies, and they're monitoring the portfolios for their manners. And they acquired a lot of, for instance, even during their acquisition, deal with their gaming portfolio. They are using the artificial intelligence to help them. For instance, acquisition of Supercell, those big game companies, for that matters. Huawei Technology. They're the world's first mobile smart car, Huawei Kirin 970. They're using the latest 10 nano technologies. The number of integrated transistors reached 5.5 billion in nearly 1 square centimeter. That is astonishing. No wonder that Apple iPhone licensed more technologies from Huawei's phone than Huawei licensed from iPhone. So here we are. We start to see the global technology is moving very fast to really advance technology to help the consumers. And in these Huawei's chips, they're able to increase 20% of the energy efficiency, increase 20% of graphic processing and performance, and nearly 50% of energy efficiency. Oh, okay. So while we're waiting, I would welcome the questions. If anyone have any question at this point, let's take advantage of that 5 minute dark moment to make it bright. Yes, I see your hand. I didn't understand the last part of your sentence. You said, what do you think of? Did you understand? Can someone give him a microphone, maybe? What is Russia's place in the global innovation landscape? Okay, all right, that's great. Yes, I did meet some of the Russian companies. I had the privilege to be invited to speak at the Mobile World Congress in Shanghai in June. And I was invited to the Russia Pavilion, to give a talk about the negotiation with the Chinese. Finally, all the Russian companies showed up, but it's not enough. As a matter of fact, lots of Chinese showed up as well. So I was joking with them, why you are here, Chinese? But they said that we also need to learn how to negotiate with Chinese as well. So in my limited knowledge with Russian startups, I have found that you have a lot of great talents. Your country are very much emphasized on education. You got a great talents throughout the history, good education system. You had a little bit detour in this process, I have to say that. I know a bit of your history. You had a little bit detour, but now it's doing good. And you lead in many technology areas. For instance, in the energy innovation. You're very strong on that. And you're very big and strong in the aerospace in the past and in the military technology. You're very strong on that. So you are also very big in the IT-driven technology. Very big, very strong on that. And now with the U.S. sanction and European Union sanction, you start to develop your agricultural technologies, which I think is a great thing. That's why I always believe any sanction is actually a good thing for a country, to lead the country to a greater future and emphasize on the right thing. Just like China recently was sanctioned, by American for the ZTE, if you know the ZTE event. As a result, the Chinese government and Chinese private sector was shocked, and that we're so weak in this chips industry. So now the Chinese, industry are really ramping for that. So globally, I have to say that you are quite concentrated in a few areas. For instance, in Moscow and in St. Petersburg and here. So I think innovation need to be more inclusive, include more people from all over Russia. I think it's very important. China is doing very well on that. China is including many startups, and even in some small cities. I recently speak in some small cities with, let's say, 1 million population. I mean, in China, 1 million population is really small. And they are doing really wonderful things, driving technology changes for that. So I think this is the area that Russia could continue to improve. And second is that I feel that Russia need to go out of your boundary. I want to see more going to China, see more going to Europe. We see a lot going to Berlin, for instance. And I want to see more going to China, with my selfish reasons, because I really think Chinese has a big market and have big capital. And so you should really consider Chinese market for that matters. I hope that I answer your question for that. Any other questions? There is a question there somewhere? Yes. Please.
Считаете ли вы, что у России должен быть свой путь в энергетике? Я имею в виду в сочетании возобновляемой и традиционной. If you think that Russia has got its own way in energy development concerning the combining of renewables and traditional fuels.
Sorry, which one is talking? Okay, I will listen. Yeah, could you say in English again?
Yes. Do you think if Russia has got its own specific way in energy sector development concerning the combination of renewables and traditional fuels?
Consider renewable and fossil fuels, right? Yeah, I think a very interesting question. I think Russia need to really move away from dependence on the fossil energy. And the whole world is moving, which I will come to it very soon, to the very point that our world is really moving to renewable energies. And this is reality, and this is coming, and it's coming very big. So I think Russia need to really, really start to become less dependent on the traditional energy and develop. You know, China is very strong on that. I give you an example. China has made a pledge that by 2024, all the Chinese car makers cannot sell a car that is using traditional, fossil, the gasolines. It has to be the electric vehicles or renewable energy source. So, but old car you can still drive, but the new car you cannot sell anymore after 2024. So that is very harsh to the industry. Sometimes we need to give ourselves a little bit challenge, in order to really bring the alert to that. So that's my personal view. This is maybe not what your president want to hear or majority of people want to hear, but it's very dangerous to rely solely on one of the things that you have, but rather to develop other technology, which I believe your country is fully capable for that. People like to take low-hanging fruits. People like to do things easy. Like, I'm good at this, I have this, so then it's easy. We just dig a well, and then we have oil, and we have gas, and that's easy. Life is easy. I come to this country, I feel like the gasoline is like water. It's not expensive at all, and you can just use it to great extent for that. Other question? Yes.
Thank you very much for this really exciting lecture. And I have a question in order to move globally. What's from your experience, or maybe from your point of view, the key qualities that entrepreneurs should have in order to compete globally and to be successful nowadays?
So what are the key qualities
that successful entrepreneurs should have in order to compete globally and to be successful?
Yes. I will address a little bit later on this as well, but I will share with you some of the things I will not talk about later on. So what I think that as an entrepreneur, there are a few things that you need to have in order to compete globally. First of all, you need to try to solve a problem instead of to make a living. Many entrepreneurs start their company not because they want to make a business and make a company. Mark Zuckerberg tried to solve a small problem, which led to a bigger problem that he was able to solve. Maybe you forgot about this. And at the beginning, Mark Zuckerberg, had a problem of dating girls. So then he wanted to have crash on campus. He said that, we have a difficulty because people don't know each other. People, feel scared about dating. So what if we can create a social network where we can know each other? So he's trying to solve a problem. So I encourage all the entrepreneurs in this room. You start a business not because you want to make money. You want to be rich. Being rich, making money is a side product of it. But you should really want to aim to solve a problem. Because at the end, what defines whether you became successful or not lies in whether you are solving a problem for our society, whether you create the value for our society. And if the problem you're solving is big, then you create a big value. If it's small, you create small value. I met some of the entrepreneurs from Syria, the country that is in battle. They're trying to solve a small problem by some of those refugee camps, in the refugee camp. Solve a social problem and an economic problem by organizing. Instead of standing there doing nothing in the refugee camp, feel depressed every day. They're mobilizing those resources and those hands and to do some small arts, crafts, and things like that and make some small livings for that. So, number one, you need to solve a problem. Second, you really need to have a global picture. You need to have the ability to integrate global resources. Many people are taking a very narrow national views when they're going abroad, taking global view. You have to immerse yourself into different culture, the ability to learn very quickly of other culture and then put yourself into that culture and integrate resources. And it's very important. So you need to have an open mind. I really cherish tonight. You have so many of you come here listening to this. And you come with an open mind. I hope more and more people have this open mind to really embrace yourself to the different culture and to the change that you have. So don't say things like, oh, I'm Russian, so I'm not going to do this. Now, really open your mind and to really work with other entrepreneurs worldwide, and you will find yourself in a great advantage. And also, I want to say that the third most important thing is that you need to be very observant. You need to be a good observant. Innovations start with eyes. Start with what you see. So when you go international, you need to see the global problems. And you need to see where is the need, where is the opportunity for that. So many great innovations start with people observing a real reality. Start to see the opportunity in the reality for that. And fourth, you need to take approach to social for the ideas, not just social for resources. Many companies go social for resources. They wanted to gain, they say, resources. But what we want is not just resources, but also find the ideas, to network for ideas. That's why P&G CEO, every time he go to China, the first thing he do is not going to his own company. He go to a consumer's home. He work with the consumer, talk to them, come up with the idea, understand their needs. Very important. Very important for that. I'll leave with that to answer your question. And then the remaining of my talk will address some of your question further. Other questions, please.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you for being here and sharing these trends with us. Could you please also define the key factors for empowering innovation in country, maybe from government side or from university side? How you can describe the key factor for empowering innovation in country? Thanks.
Yeah, from a government point of view, right?
For example, company, government, universities, what the key factors?
Yeah. First of all, I think the government really need to have a dedicated fund to support the innovation, because a lot of small, startups, when they first started, they need to really rely on someone to help them. Now, I can use the example of Finnish government, the government from Finland. In Finland, if you receive the funding for your company, when you say receive funding, means that you have created a technology or company. Yes, we can give them a hand of work. Yeah. Instead of blaming, that's good. Yeah, positive. And you actually, if you are able to receive the investment funding, that means your company is doing something right. If the investor investing in you for, let's say, $100,000, the Finnish government will match $100,000, period. So any fund, not just once, twice, continue. They will do the fund matching. So that's why the first thing, I always believe that if a government support innovation, entrepreneurship, but doesn't support with money, then forget about it. How can you support innovation by just plain talks? You cannot do that, right? Chinese government do very well. The Chinese government dedicate $250 billion US funding to support innovation and entrepreneurship. So it's not just about that. And some of the country, for instance, dedicate, let's say, 20%. If you come in some of the Chinese industrial park, if you come to this industrial park, the government will give you 20% of the fund that you plan to raise, 25%. So that is important, funding. The government supporting some funding. Second, the special policies to support the entrepreneurship need. Not just the policies of the things that you don't need. The government sometimes come up with a lot of things that you don't need. It's useless. But rather exactly what you need. For instance, government help you to connect to the investor. Government help you to connect to the distributor, to the channels, to the consumer, to the potential partner. This is very useful, very, very valuable for that. Okay, that's from a government point of view. I will say these 2 points. And from the university, we start to see globally the university play a very crucial role in the innovation. Many universities start to not just have industry park, but also innovation center and also factories. You go to Sheffield University, University of Sheffield in England. They have large factories to support innovation. They work with the departments within university and also work with large companies. Let's say Microsoft, let's say Dell Computer, let's say Apple. They use their factory to do the prototype, to do the piloting programs. So university is really doing something big and important. And I was in the UP Tech. It's University of Porto from Portugal, University of Porto. They have a technology, industrial park. They have 200 companies there doing amazing things. A lot of companies have small pilot plants within that industrial park. So university is no longer just talk about theories, ideologies. Now they're doing one step further to integrate. Chinese university is doing the same thing. It's doing the same thing. A lot of universities actually have their own companies. For instance, Zhejiang University, south of Shanghai, Tsinghua University. Tsinghua University has many large companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, because they commercialize the technologies that their university research delivered. So it's very important. So as a university, don't feel like I'm invading the traditional boundary. No, you should be, because other people is already doing that. The Chinese university is doing that for 20 years already. And European universities starting to do that. American universities starting to do that. So we need to take an open innovation approach to attack that. So I'll leave with that. We'll continue my talk, okay? So, smart robots. The world's busiest 3 surgical robots are located in China. They are doing a lot of operations. They're doing more than 40,000 operations already. And those operations are more precise, one thing. Number 2, those operations have less wound to the patients. Before you have a large wound, but now they are less wound. And finally, they help the patients to recover faster. And 4th, they gather a lot of data. Not just do this one operation, they gather lots of data for that. So we started the artificial intelligence to become, oh my goodness, this I need to manage my time better. Edible robots. The world is working towards using the AI to solve many tough issues such as cancer. How do we deal with cancer? Before, one of the most important issue is you try to use therapies, the chemotherapies to treat the cancer. But then you kill the good cells, and then your immune system goes down. But now we have the robots to deliver the medicine, the edible robots that you eat. And this robot carries the medicine and goes to where you want the medicine to go. It goes to the cancer cell. So this is changing. This is the reality now. And self-driving car. Self-driving car is almost in the race. Almost all the large internet company is spending a lot of money to do the self-driving cars, including the Google, and including Baidu. And I want to introduce you, Baidu, Tencent, Alibaba are all doing that, self-driving car. And if you are not understanding why self-driving car is changing our future, I will share with you. I saw one of the video because one of my students is in this business. They are raising speed in China, #1 in China, doing the self-driving car. And he showed me one of the video. In the future, our street will be different. Our road will be configured for the self-driving car. And let's say we finish this seminar here. You will use your application to order a car. The Uber is doing that, doing the research as well. And then the car will arrive. And then you jump into the car, and other cars, the artificial intelligence is going to figure out where your car is going to go into. And all the cars will connect to each other. The cars will talk through the IoT. Will talk. And the car will be connected, will go together to the city center. From there, they will leave each other to go to the separate place to save the energy. So this is happening. And then you can share the passenger with the passenger going to the same destination. So all those is changing where we live. And in the future, the road will be narrower. You don't need so many cars because those cars will connect to each other and will change in the lane automatically. We don't need such a wide, road and to be connected to each other. And you can interchange with the car. You are in this car and you actually can change to the other car while you are in the car. So things are changing very rapidly here. And this UISEE is one of my students' company. They're doing the self-driving car. They also deal with the valet parking as well, which is now used in China. In Shanghai, you go to a place in the parking lot, you stop your car, the robots come over, take your car, and put your car to stack the car into the parking lot, making it more efficient already. And this is solving real issues here. See, cars goes to where it is. And self-driving car actually can drive itself to the designated parking slot and then send a message to you where I am so that you know where it is. And a self-driving car can come to pick you up later on when you finish. Yeah. Unmanned trailers, we can see here. Yeah, unmanned trailers. They're targeting at Tesla's autopilot L2/3, programs. And in Guangzhou Airport, they're already testing use self-driving cars to really connect between the terminals, transport passengers from one terminal to the other. They're already doing that quite successfully. This is a technology that's already using it. DJI is using the drones, artificial intelligence, using drones. They account for 70% of the global market, and it's very astonishing. And they can do the selfies and aerial videos, inspect the power lines and things like that. So this is an application of the AI technology. And Chinese companies are doing very well in this sector. In the future, AI technology have 3 stages. Right now, it's still quite in the early stage, more on the service intelligence. And then the second stage will be more breakthrough in the technology breakthroughs, and then leading to the third stage on super intelligence. Now, one of the biggest problems with the artificial intelligence is the safety issue. Perhaps we all are aware of the safety issues. A few months ago, the University of California, Berkeley professor released a video of the drone killer, AI. It's a robot using drones to fly close to the human being and detect the brain and shoot a needle into the brain and kill people instantly. And they claim that this device can kill a whole city in half day. And they can even penetrate into the wall and to kill people. So this is very dangerous, that if AI is not, if AI is not safely guided, then our world will be in trouble. And second is ethical issues. So many more robots is going to come to replace human beings. We're making our society to become a digital society. So what is the use of human being for that matters? So that became a challenge. Maybe in the future, people doesn't even really need to have a girlfriend. A real human being could have a robot as a girlfriend. That would challenge the ethical issues that we have now in our human society. So today we don't have a lot of time to discuss and find a solution for that. I do have some solution we can discuss later on. FinTech. The world's largest market for the mobile payment with US dollar 12.8 trillion US dollars is in China. The Chinese is leading on the FinTech industry. 87% of the Chinese consumer are fine with a totally cashless life. That means that they're fine without using cash at all. I was traveling in China recently. I did not have any cash in my pocket. I was living like a king. I have no issue with that. Every place, including paying for the hotel bills, going to a restaurant, pay, have a haircut, paying with my mobile payment, with WeChat Pay, and Alipay. And everything, you can do that. And the rest of the world is still sleeping in terms of mobile payment. I was in Sweden, and I met an entrepreneur who came up with a payment device where it can use that device to connect with the iPhone or mobile phone and take credit card payment. And they're like amazing. It's a start. I said, your business has absolutely zero value in China because we don't need this at all. We have mobile payment. So mobile payment is coming up. You're going to love it. You're going to live a life without cashless. So if you are still in this industry, perhaps you could. If there is a French guy, a young Frenchman, and he lived in China for 2 years. When he returned to France, he shot a video because he finds it so inconvenient to live in France without WeChat Pay. And he made a video and pledged Pony Ma, the chairman and founder of Tencent, to bring the WeChat Pay and WeChat to France. He interviewed a lot of French people. He basically did a free market, research for the Tencent. So you could do the same to really drive the mobile payment in this country and make that happen. Now, top 10 fintech companies in China included Ant Financial, Zhong'an Baoxian, Zhong'an Insurance, and Qufengqi, Oscar, this is an American company, Avant, Lufax is a money management company in China, JD Finance. I recently met the CEO of JD Finance. We did an event. I was delivering the closing keynote remark there. And they tell me that they're not just a fintech company, they're a big data company because they have tremendous user data for that matters. So fintech has a lot to do with the user data, So how you can leverage that is very important. In China, we have lots of the unicorns from the fintech industry. But if you're in the fintech, I give you a very clear advice here. I was invited to speak at the level 39 in London. And they were so brave to invite me to speak there. Because I speak totally against their ideology, because the conference is about how to maintain London, to make London the global center of fintech. And the first thing I said is that I'm sorry to tell you a bad news. London will never be the fintech center of the world. Why? I spend the rest of the time to explain to them why. Now, fintech is not just about technology. Fintech is about life, about serving the people's life. So if you're developing fintech, many people focus on banking, focus on technology. It's all wrong. You need to focus on the consumer's daily needs. What do they need? What do they need as a technology solution for you? You don't develop a technology that they have no use for you. You have to develop technology the consumer wants. That's why in this triangle I show here on this slide, technology, finance, and life. Out of all three, you need to start with life. And then the user need to use finance, and the finance need to have technology. This is a sequence for that. 4 trends in the future. First, industry deforming. That's what we see in the fintech. Second, large technology and internet company will enter this space. Third, which we already see in China, traditional banking fall. If you're still in the traditional, banking, you need to really start to worry about it and how you can change that and make that positive change. Many Chinese companies were slow. They see Alibaba, they see Tencent to erode their market share. And they see them robbing it. They're not changing. They're still, because they're so happy collecting money for the Chinese consumers, for that matters. But then it became too late. Now they come up with a payment solution, working with UnionPay. But it's too late. The Chinese consumer doesn't want that. I tell you one thing. The current society, the consumer became so lazy. When I was in one of the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, one of the speakers said this to me. He said that the consumer are so lazy, they don't even want to open one more apps. That's what happens in China. It takes 10 years to build Alipay to be number 1 position in China. It takes only 3 years for WeChat Pay to defeat Alipay to become number 1. Why? Because everybody is using WeChat Pay. The consumer doesn't want to open Alipay while they're in the WeChat. That one step, the consumer is so lazy, they don't even want to open one step. They don't want to do that. So we, as startups, we as entrepreneurs, need to understand this logic behind. We need to understand. We cannot design things, develop things, thinking from our point of view. We have to understand what consumer is thinking about that. Fourth, optimize the form of product and service to tailor for the consumer. Blockchain. Blockchain became a global phenomenon. I will tell you something that is perhaps will change what you're doing right now if you're in the blockchain industry. Many people are thinking, particularly in China, after Chinese New Year. I speak about 3 years ago, start to speak at the London Blockchain Conference in Ireland and Deloitte Blockchain Lab and Indian Blockchain Conference, etc., etc. But the Chinese never invite me to speak until early this year. All of a sudden, they come to invite me. And they start to create something called a 3 o'clock blockchain forum. That means at 3 a.m. in the morning, people doesn't sleep. They talk about blockchain on the social media. And I come along, I tell them, why you need to talk about blockchain at 3 a.m.? You can talk about it at 8 a.m. or 11 o'clock or 2 p.m. Why? Because these people want to create some movement to say that, hey, we're the one who are truly care about blockchain. We're the one who are truly passionate about blockchain. We don't sleep. We talk about blockchain even at 3 a.m. Then I ask them, what are you doing when it's at 7 a.m.? Oh, I'm sleeping at that time. So that's a joke. We don't need to do that. Blockchain, we need to understand a few things. I don't have time to talk about lots of things. Blockchain is the 5th wave of disruptive revolution in the future. But yet, we start to see the spring. We do not see blockchain spring is coming yet. We don't see that yet. I have a speech called The Summer of the Blockchain and talk about the future of the blockchain, the implication of the blockchain in our human society in the future. And I had a 1 million audience listening to me in the Chinese social media when I talk about that. Now, blockchain is transforming our society, but not yet in everything yet. The biggest challenge we have is the fundamental technologies of blockchain, those standardization of the language to develop those dApps is not quite there yet. That's the biggest challenge that we see in our society. We see a lot of investment in 2008. In the first 2 months, we start to see almost 50% of the investment over last year. And we see a lot of this kind of thing. We see a lot of patents, for instance, investment companies here. You see here are lots of companies investing in the Facebook, Google, and now investing in the blockchain, which is creating a global sensation for that. And 500 startups, you all know, is also investing in the blockchain. The Chinese company, FEFU Capital, invested 52 companies. And out of that, majority are not from China. So Chinese application is not quite there. Only 11 domestic companies is there. China versus U.S., very interesting. We started to see a lot of the Chinese movement there for that. And also we see majority of the investment is based on the digital currencies, trading of it, ICO of it, and foreign exchange, and also money transfer. Those what we see that has been applied globally for the blockchain. And we started to see globally, patents. Chinese are leading in the patent application. And if you go this slide, which you will see there, the Alibaba Group represented the largest amount of the patent application globally. But then if you look at the Chinese Central Bank, very interesting. Chinese Central Bank have 68 patents in total, which is more than Alibaba. And that give a very strong signal that in the near future, I believe the Chinese Central Bank will issue the digital currency. So Chinese government is in the raising speed in this era. Now we all know on September 4th, 2017, the Chinese government decided to stop the digital currency trading, the Bitcoin trading. Now we see the global price immediately drop. But then quickly after a few months, we start the price that goes back again. And many people didn't understand. But then if you go to California, you will understand because majority of those traders are Chinese. 98% of the total global trading volume come from China. 98%. That's why Chinese government says stop. The whole Bitcoin trading globally are basically traded by Chinese. That's insane. And Chinese government has nothing to do with it. Of course, it's going to be stopped. And then the Chinese start to immigrate to California. And a lot of high net worth individuals, they immigrated to the California, and they start to trade out of California again. The global price started to go up. Early this year, it goes crazy. And everybody started to say it's going to go to $80,000 per Bitcoin. Now, my personal view on this is the Bitcoin itself, even though many people argue it's a scarcity, it's a value of scarcity. But personally, I believe Bitcoin itself does not create the value. So if you are trading this, you need to be very careful. Many people are trying to bring the value up because they enter this market when the price is high. They want the price to be high in order to withdraw from that. So you need to be very, very super careful about the Bitcoin trading. And maybe you will curse me if you sell your Bitcoin and later on, the price goes up. But eventually, the Bitcoin price globally is not going to go up. It's going to go down because that itself is not going to create the value. China lead in the world in terms of the blockchain patent application for 550 from China, 280 from US, and 192 from Korea. Chinese companies is also doing very interesting job here. And Chinese commercial companies are also doing a lot of things in the Bitcoin, in the blockchain. But I want to bring a very important point to you here. Chinese companies like JD.com, Alibaba, Tencent, and also NetEase, etc., etc. They're working very hard on the blockchain. But I want to tell you, internet companies hate blockchains. Alibaba hate blockchains. JD hate blockchains. But why they're doing blockchains? Because they want to eliminate those players in the blockchain industry. Why they do that? If you understand what is blockchain. Blockchain is the distributed ledger. The data being recorded and stored and secured in decentralized locations. For instance, your age will be stored in the government database, okay? And your criminal record will be stored in the police department. And your diploma will be stored in the university. Now look at it. Internet companies like, Alibaba. Now they have all the user data. They have everything from the user. Like Facebook. What do? They collect all your information. They want a real person. They want to know your birthday. They want to know your friends. They know everything about you. The data are stored centrally and used centrally. These kind of companies hate blockchain because blockchain will kill them, will take away the power for them to manage data. That's why Alibaba doesn't like it. But they're still doing it because they want to pretend they're doing it. They want to control it. They want to eliminate the small players so that they can still control how the data are being managed. So be careful for that. And blockchain in U.S. are basically used for the foreign currencies, transfers, and things like that. So right now, it's not widely utilized. And so I will quickly, skip that. Japan doing very interesting. They're using Bitcoins to make payment and Bitcoins to buy house and pay salaries and things like that. Very interesting. And many banks are now working using the Bitcoins to manage that. But still, it's not quite widely used. Now, we all understand the blockchain have a different type. One is public chain, right? And the other one is not public chain, but within, the industry. And then finally, you have private chains, right? So for the blockchain industry, you need to understand public chain is really what you wanted to see. So the union chain between the organizations right now, we don't see they are working very well. So it's not doing very well for that. I will have to skip some of those here. Future of the blockchain. Let's talk about future of blockchain. And what I see in the future of the blockchain, that our society will be transformed into the digital society. That our data will be decentralized and will be utilized by different agencies. For instance, we will have a personal ID. Currently, we have a passport, we have a national ID, we have all this. But in the future, the ID with the chips will store all our informations, and not information itself, but also the link to the information, where you can have access through this ID of those informations by different agencies. So blockchain will be widely applied in everything, but blockchain will be part of the solution rather than blockchain itself like AI technologies. So in the future, we will see the integration of the cloud with the blockchain, with the big data together. So that will be, our society will be functioning, be organized, be managed by the data, and the data be decentralized and separated in the various chains here through the blocks. Now, retailing. I want to share with you very quickly about the retailing. O2O, online to offline, had been a phenomenon in 2015, 2016. But then AI technology, blockchain comes along. So what I believe the new retailing is coming along, but not fully utilized its potential yet. That's why I speak quite a lot these days about the new retailing. That is, in the future, the retail industry will change from so-called online and offline to be fully integrated. In our society in the future, you will not see online versus offline, but rather you will see online, offline combined together. I'm going to skip some of those slides and share with you very quickly what is the concept. The new retailing concept is basically using the big data, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and other solutions to combine online and offline together. Currently, still many people talk about e-commerce, like I'm an e-commerce company. And there are also companies talk about offline. I'm retail, I'm traditional retail. And these two fight with each other. But in the future, and actually now, we start to see this boundary become very blurred. And a company needs to have both online and offline. Because fundamentally, from a consumer point of view, the consumer doesn't care about where they buy product from. The consumer care about the product itself, right? They care about the price. They care about convenience. They care about the speed of delivery. If they can get the product from a store downstairs of their apartment immediately, this offline store is better than e-commerce because it will take e-commerce 24 hours to deliver to my home. But if I can get it from the store downstairs right away, that is better. So we need to think from a consumer point of view. What does the consumer want? That's why in China, Alibaba started to talk about the new retailing. And he said the era of pure e-commerce will soon come to an end. In the next decade or two, there will be no e-commerce, only the new retail. So what that means is that these two need to work together. So how do they work together? I want to share with you the Hema Xiansheng. This is a seafood new retailing concept by Alibaba. So what Alibaba do is that they realize the Chinese consumer like to have seafood. So they open a restaurant, the seafood restaurant chain. And you go to this restaurant, you can see the display of the live, fish, crabs, lobsters, etc. You can order. They will cook for you, and you will enjoy delicious live seafood. After that, before you go home, you're like, this is really great. I want to buy a fish. I want to buy some shrimp. You can buy because they have their tanks there. They have retail shops in that restaurant. You can buy. And then, once you eat all those in your home, you're thinking that, I want to order some. I don't want to go to the shop anymore. I want to order it. So Alibaba allowed them to order from their apps and deliver to them within 30 minutes. They promised 30 minutes delivery. 30 minutes delivery. So imagine a consumer who are on the subway going home. The subway ride commuting is about 1 hour. Okay? And 20 minutes before he reaches the home, he places the order. He arrived at the home. After 10 minutes, someone knocked at the door and delivered the seafood live. And now he's going to cook that seafood. And instead of going to a grocery store, spend a long time in the grocery store to do the shopping and bring home. He can do all this at home. So this is a new retail. Combine artificial intelligence, combine blockchain, combine online and offline together to provide customer-oriented solutions for the retail experience. And JD.com is doing the same. They're doing the same. And they even do the self-serving store. Alibaba also did that. Self-serving store. You go inside the store, You just pick up stuff and you just walk away. And they will automatically charge to you. We are seeing this. We're seeing this in China already. New energy. This country is very big on energy. So we need to rethink about energy. German cars traditionally are behind in terms of using the renewable energy. But all of a sudden, we see Porsche Mission E come to the play. Within 15 minutes, they can charge 80% of the batteries for 400 kilometers. So that's changing everything. And you can run very smoothly. In the future, we will start. I'm going to have to skip lots of things. The factories, this is a company from Hungary. They store energy instead of using the water to store the heat. They use biomaterial without water to store the heat. And they reduce 90% of the volume in terms of the heat tank and reduce 60% raw material, 20% of the energy efficiency. Amazing company that we brought to China. So China currently is the largest single renewable energy producer. 1/3 of the world's wind power, 1/4 of its solar capacity. 6 of the top 10 solar panel manufacturers are from China. 4 of the top 10 wind turbine makers are from China. So it's doing really amazing things. And Chinese government has pledged very strong by 2024 will eliminate fossil, the fossil cars. So in the future, we will start to see the Chinese very interesting, things coming to the place. I have to skip a lot of slides, but if you write to me, I'll try to send you a version of today's presentation. EYD, EYD, it's a Chinese car maker. They started to work on the bus, e-bus, and to put the bus using the electric bus, for their matters, which is very interesting. They already have globally 27,000 buses operating with renewable energies. And they are also using double-deckers. London using the double-decker. It's a world first double-decker through the BYD, using their technologies to do that. Genetic engineering. We started to see the DNA editing is really changing our human mind and how we function. In the future, if you're not smart enough, let's say you're not very good at mathematics, there will be a mathematics chips that you can plant into your brain, and you become smarter. And if, let's say, you're not very good at literature, there's a chips to help you to write better, speak better. So our society is really changing. Biochips is really, really helping our society and help our human beings to gain more computing powers for that matters. Wireless brain implants. Now you put something in your mind and really help you become more intelligent. DNA editing. You start to do the DNA modification and then to help you eliminate diseases. And this is coming along. Even design our own child. In the future, maybe through the genetic technologies, then you can select and design your own child. And this may challenge the ethical issues that we have and also religious issues that we have in our society right now. New material. There will be new materials in the future. The new in the future is not just going to be in terms of new, in terms of shape, but also in terms of mechanical properties such as strength, toughness, hardness, elasticities. And new functional material means they're more electrical, optical, acoustic, magnetic, and thermal, and other functionalities will be represented in those materials. So if you are in these areas, you need to start to rethink about that. Application of those materials will be in medical, in the magnetics, optical. For instance, in China, we start to have a maglev trains. Chinese are building the trains that will run as fast as 1,000 kilometers per hour. They will be put in a vacuum tube, and it's very safe, by the way. Don't think of that, oh, this is not safe. No, it's going to be very safe. It's going to be in a vacuum, and the train flies because they lift it up, use a maglift to lift it up. So train is like bullets. So maybe in the future you will start to see that here as well, between this city to Moscow. And it will be just within an hour you will be there, or a few hours, very short period of time. And solar energy. In the future we will be, instead of just digging the gas and oil, we will rely on solar energies more. Yeah, IBM has already developed the technology with 40% conversion rate, very high conversion rate. And we also start to see that using the satellite, solar satellite. Solar satellite can supply 1/3 of Earth's electricity, and it can have 24 hours of electricity transmission without any stop. So this is changing. If this happens, then why we need to have oil and gas? We don't need it. And technology is changing this. And I believe one day this is going to happen. As a matter of fact, 10 years ago, I met one CEO of a British company who is doing research on this and sending satellite into the space, and then eventually will actually transmit the energy, every single second energy transmit into the space. So one day this is going to happen. And so this country, we need to really think about that. Yeah. And intelligent plastic products, the plastic bags that is intelligent enough that it can collect itself. And so this is changing our environmental protection, how we deal with that. It's very, very important. So change our society for that. 4D printing. We're still talking about 3D printing right now. But 4D printing is coming. 3D printing is talking about using the material. I was visiting EUS, if you know EUS. It's a German, the largest and most important 3D printing German companies in the world. It's near, where is it? Not Frankfurt, but what is the other country? Big city. Anyway, 4D printing is coming too long before 3D printing is fully utilized. The 4D printing has one more dimension, that is time. That means this printing can change its shape as time goes. Now, 3D printing has one of this problem, but 4D can achieve that. As time goes, and this product can change its shape according to the pre-configured, the calculations for that. So this is big. This is going to change a lot of things. The product is no longer set. It can change. So this will be the future that we will see in our lifetime. Big health. Big health industry is really moving, change. The consumer is no longer care about, cure diseases, but rather to deal with preventative medicines to help them to live a healthy life. And China is growing at about 23% annual growth rate on this. And still China is really behind. Even though with 23% growth rate, China is still very much behind. I'm going to skip some of those slides. And there's a lot of examples about industry application, about integrated doctors and healthcare solutions, and also hospital solutions. Help you manage your own health. We start to see that. Manage the patient's records, for instance. And we start to see moving into that. IoT, this is intelligent hardware that they can connect to each other. In the future, the manufacturing is no longer going to be just a focus on the factory itself, but also consumer, supply chain, and factory all integrated with each other. And we're going to start to see that change happens. And IoT also, in the future, we're going to see start smart factories. So factories no longer going to be produce mass product, but also produce the custom-made product. The consumer will want to produce the product for themselves, and the factory is able to do that. And factory is going to move to the city. Before, we moved to the suburb, to where the labor is relatively cheap. But in the future, factory is going to come back to the city, to be closer to the consumer. This is what we're seeing. And you see the application, the smart home, TV, vehicle, and smart watch, and anti-loss devices, Bluetooth earphones, but there's more to come. And food industry, we will start to see the new food. In the past 10 years, an average of the 15,000 to 23,000 new products enter the U.S. market every year. No innovation, no competitiveness, but this is changing. And we start to see the new food from the low-fat, low-calorie to cleaning labels. And here is more transparent packaging, plant composition, new sweeteners, and all those are changing how we are living and what we are eating. Low cost of producing the products is also on the horizon. Eco-friendly production and ethical products. Now we start to see that. And high product values that you deliver to the consumer is very important. Aerospace industry. This country is very big in the aerospace industry. And China is also catching up very quickly, and China wants to send human beings to the space. And with a particular drone technologies, and Google is also doing something wonderful for that. And we're going to start to see more of those happenings. And Chinese company is sending a lot of sophisticated satellites into the space. That the recent trade war between U.S. and China. Many people don't fully understand why is that, but America absolutely doesn't want China to be a technology powerhouse. They want China continue to be low-cost trading partner. So that's the problem that Donald Trump started to see, that China is changing that. Cosmetics industry, you go to any shopping mall, you see the cosmetics on the first floor, and very expensive, very, very expensive. But this is changing. The cosmetics company, if you're, using cosmetic product here, I can tell you, in that one bottle of your Dior or Chanel or whatever products you have in that one bottle, the cost is only $2. You pay $70, $100 for that one bottle. But cost is very relatively cheap. That's why they have a huge margin. That's why they put it in everywhere people go and see. In the airport, it's all over there. So I usually recommend people to use only 2 cosmetic products. One is the moisturizer, because your skin you need to keep the moisture there. So moisturizer is very important. You need to use that. And second is sunblock. Sunblock. Block the sun from getting your skin. Because number one reason of damage to the skin is the sun. A lot of Western people don't understand that. They want their skin to be darker, to be more tanned. And that's the cause of a lot of skin problems. So it's very important you have sunblock for that. After these 2, the rest you don't need to use it. And you can throw it away for that. So cosmetics is a very big market and a big industry for that. But in the future, the industry need to be more deal with skin care to make your skin more useful. Anti-aging. The current industry are putting a lot of agents into those products. They average it. That you have this bottle of product, every company doing the same. But in the future, you will have lots of anti-aging agents into this product, and people become younger. And this is, people are doing it already for that. And also, the cosmetic industries in the future, they will have more active ingredients involved into those as well. So L'Oreal is doing a lot of research into that industry. Okay, finally, I want to share with you some of the very interesting but very futuristic forecasts and predictions for that. And first of all, in the next 25 years, 47% of the jobs will be eliminated. 47% of the job will be eliminated. These jobs, now this is not my prediction. It's based on University of Oxford prediction. Now those jobs, many are in the agency jobs. For instance, the middlemen, or high labor density jobs, or factory jobs, manufacturing jobs, will be eliminated. So the question became, how would you cope with it when robots surpass human beings and with artificial intelligence? So here I want to share with you the future changes in employment market. Now, this is a very important slide I wanted you keep in your mind. Everything you do now, you need to think. In a society, in the future, when the robots, artificial intelligence, are smarter than human beings, what can you do? What is a human being? What is a human age? What is your advantage over artificial intelligence? We do, as a human being, we do have advantage. So when you start to think about future, you need to think from this point of view. Now let's give you a view about the future. In the future, more than 80% of the employees will be temporary workers. This is very different. Today, majority of the jobs are full-time jobs. But in the future, 80% will be mobile jobs. That means, freelancers, the people who work today for this company, today for the other company. They don't have a set job. They don't have a full-time job. 80% doesn't have that. You need to be ready for that. Second, a person may work in several companies simultaneously. Maybe one person will work in this company and tomorrow for the company B. And third, work will be released by task globally. The company will issue a task, make announcement globally. I want to launch a new mobile game. So I want the talents who can do this. I want the talents who can develop channel, etc. And then the team will be assembled, both internal member and external member, and both domestic member and international member. So it will be task-driven. The team will be consistently be reorganized. You will not, even within the same company, you will not see that, we work in the marketing, so we're going to always do the same thing. No. In the future, you will do different things. Specialty will be validated. You need to have some specialty. You cannot be too generalist. You have to have something that people want and need you. Working hour will be significantly reduced to 4 to 10 hours a week. So now people ask me, what can we do? Now we work only 4 to 10 hours. Let me ask you, if you make good money, would you mind to have more vacation time? Majority of people always have problem of going back after vacation. So the problem is not because you have to work. It's not because you need to work, you want to work. It's because you have to work. So the next question is, how can we assure the wealth be distributed equally? If we work less hours, but our society can make sure we can have proper award for that, then working less hour is not an issue. Otherwise, it's a big problem. So this became a political issue. I will share with you 10 essential skills in the future workspace. First, the ability to solve complex problems. We need to equip ourselves to be able to solve complicated problems, complex problems, not just simple problems. We need to have that ability. Our society become more and more difficult, more and more sophisticated. Second, critical thinking. We need to be able to analyze, to think about it, to have creative thinking as well. That's the third. Be able to creative thinking. Leadership. Be able to lead people, work with people. Fourth, fifth, collaboration. We need to learn to collaborate with other people because you have to. If you want to do everything yourself, that is over. You have to work with other people. Emotional intelligence. We need to learn to develop emotional intelligence and to be with other people, work with other people, because collaboration become a global thing. You have to manage the cultural difference. If you say that I only work with the Russian people, that's impossible. You have to learn to work with people from Pakistan, from South Africa, for instance. So you have to be more open, inclusive. You have to have a good judgment and decision-making power. And this is very important. I will not elaborate, but I can just speak about this 1.46 hours. Judgment is very important. You need to decide what to do, what not to do. You have to have a service orientation and negotiation skill and cognitive flexibility for that. And how to plan your business. Interest, ability, challenge, value, persistence are the words I want to share with you. First, interest. You need to do things that you are interested in doing. The famous psychologist from University of Chicago said this. People become more innovative when they are doing things they're interested about. So you need to focus on the things that you're interested in. Second, your capability, the ability you have. Do things that you are capable about. Third is something that is challenging, that challenges you. And fourth, the things that create the value to the society. And finally, persistence. You have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. Never give up. It's very important in our society. Finally, I want to give the 10 suggestions for the entrepreneurs. First, enhance learning ability. You have to learn. You have to learn how to learn. Our future society requires a lot of new knowledge, adaptation to the new knowledges. If you don't know how to learn the new knowledges, then that's a problem. You have to update your technology on a daily basis, if not on a yearly basis. And you have to be curious. Keep the curiosity. That's very important. You have to always asking questions, be curious about new technology, new ideas. Third, strong desire to solve the problem. That will make you successful because you are always looking for opportunities to solve a problem and bring the value. And fourth, be flexible, adapt to change. We have to adapt ourselves to the future change. Be flexible for that. Be humble. Be broad-minded. We cannot stuck yourself in our own mindset. We have to humble and to embrace it, to learn from other people. And, these days we find some of the people who are not the smartest actually come up with a very smart idea. So very important. Be a specialist, at the same time be versatile. You cannot just say, I'm a specialist, but I don't know other things. Our society in the future requires us to be a generalist, at the same time to be a specialist. This is challenging, but we have to. Full of imagination, we have to be able to imagine new things. Imagine something beyond ourselves. Imagine something that is future-oriented. Very important. Customer value oriented. Today I said a lot about customer value. You cannot invent something that people are finding it's useless. In 1998, I lived in Chicago, in America. I lived in America for 15 years. When I was living in Chicago, there's a company called Motorola. They produced a phone, Motorola cellular phone. I bought a Motorola cellular phone in 1998. And when I received the phone at home, I opened the box, and they have instruction book. In the instruction book, they listed 108 functions for this mobile phone. Imagine, in 1998, if I, as a consumer, how many functions I use from a mobile phone in general? Usually two. One is making phone call, and second is sending text messages. But this company, I bought the phone. They have 108 functions. When I received that phone, imagine what is my feeling. How do I feel? I feel I wasted my money because I spent the money to buy a phone with 108 functions, but I only used 2. I wasted 106 functions. I feel a bit cheated. I find this phone is not what I want. So in the future, we need to orient everything we do to the consumer. What consumer want. We need to give to the consumer what they want. I have a course called Customer Focused Innovation. And I specifically talk about when you give the consumer the value, you do not give the value equally. We need to do what I call ERIC model. Some of the value that consumer doesn't value, we need to eliminate. Don't think about industry. For instance, there is one hotel chain in France called Formula One, F1 hotel. The hotel have a wonderful story. The owner, the co-founder, 2 co-founders, one day asked all the divisional head to be together to have a meeting, say that we need to come up with a new kind of the hotel to deal with the low-end people. And they said, sure, we'll do research, come back to you. They said, no, we don't want you to do research. We want you to drive your own car and bring $300 and just drive in France, and then after 1 week, come back and to tell us what to do with it. And these people are separated in different routes with $300 only in their pocket. They need to return safely. They need to eat. They need to stay in the hotel. They need to pump the gasoline. And at the end, guess what? What do they value the most when they choose a hotel? The bed. They want the mattresses to be the best. They want the room to be the quiet. Do they care about how big is the room? No. When they close their eyes, when they sleep, they don't care how big the room it is. Do they care about how fancy the lobby is? No. They come here to sleep. That is the start of F1. What they did is they eliminate the value that consumer doesn't value. So I challenge you, all the entrepreneurs here. When you develop a business, don't try to have everything. You need to have the value that the consumer value, not everything. Tata Nano, when they first have the car is, the seat is not even the soft seat. They're hard seat because the consumer want the cheapest car. They don't need anything fancy. They only have one light because they used to drive the motorcycle. They only one light, one headlight. So we need to learn how to eliminate the value that consumer doesn't value. We need to reduce the value the consumer doesn't value. We need to increase the value consumer value. Sometimes we give everything too average. We got to give the consumer what they want, like to a higher dosage. Like consumer wanted to have a charger. Today I'm charging my phone here. I hate this kind of thing. I hate this to death. I never have it in my pocket, but I need it. But why cannot someone to come up with a charging system that you plug the phone into it, in 1 second, the phone is charged? There is a Chinese university called Zhejiang University, which I taught there once. They come up with this technology. They will commercialize in the future. That in 1.1 second, the phone will be fully charged. This is what we want. We need to have the solution for that. Yeah, vacuum cleaner. Do you know the company, the British company called Dyson? Dyson. Yeah. Well, I have a student who is the Chinese distributor for that. Recently, he sent me a new product, a Dyson, called a V10. V10. I don't know whether you have it. Fantastic product. And he mailed me one, and he said, use it and see how you think about that. It's a wonderful product. Now, who said the whole industry a monopoly on this vacuum cleaner? Have this line, always follow you. And then if you have a battery and quickly the battery died out and it's not strong enough, but they solve all the problem. Right? So we need to think from a consumer point of view. Yeah. So it's very important for us to consider. And I want to give you the 6 reminders for those who are the investors. First, don't follow the suit. Many people like to follow other people. If you follow other people, you will not get the best investment. When Mr. Sun Zhenyu invested in Alibaba, he had a 2-minute conversation with Jack Ma, and he decided to invest in Alibaba. And I have a friend who rejected Alibaba, rejected Tencent, rejected the Baidu, all of them. You know, you cannot follow other people. There are many investors who are followers. You have to change your mind. You became pioneer. When everybody tried to do it. Warren Buffett said one thing that is very, very insightful. He said that Warren Buffett is considered to be the king of the stocks. He is the best investor in investing stocks. So I don't know how to invest in stock. I just buy Warren Buffett's stock. That's it. Every year I have like, 17% year-over-year return. That's it. But Warren Buffett said this: when everybody is buying the stock, you should be fearful. When everybody is buying. Why people buy? They think the stock is going to go up, so everybody buy. He said when everybody thinks stock is going up, you should worry about it. But then when everybody is selling, when everybody is fearful selling, you should buy. You should be greedy. You should be greedy. You should be like buy everything. He already said this. This is his successful, experience. But nobody can learn from that. Because everybody like to be a follower. Everybody like to be a follower. Second, terminate invaluable investment. Yeah, we have to invest in those companies that can create a huge values and for our society. And that's very important. Very important for that. And that idea of investing for the value is very, very important. And invest for the future. You have to invest for the future. Many people invest for today. Some people invest for the past. That was the worst. There is a Chinese company called Mobike. They come up with a bike sharing concept where you can basically use mobile phone to scan the QR code and open the bike and ride it, and you can stop the bicycle anywhere you want. Before, the bicycle need to return to a station. Now you can stop anywhere you want. Because of that, they got a lot of investment. Amazing. But many investors come to invest in similar company, and many similar companies come. There are 200 companies doing the same thing. So I call those companies, you are not investing in the future. You are investing in the past. because this is already the past, the reality. So you need to learn to invest in the future. You need to be ahead of the curve and thinking for the future. And also, value comfort. You have to first think about value. Why are you investing in this company? Because this company creates a value for the society, creates a value for the consumer. That's why I invest. So investing is not very tricky. It's not so methodical. It's a value investing. You need to lead the market. You want to invest. Sometimes I make this decision of investment. After I invest in this company, will other people follow? If other people don't follow, then you have a problem. If after I invest in this company have the money and to develop a little further, and the other investor would invest in them because they see the value. So it's very important. You want to be the first one to lead the market, lead the investment, and then the other. And whether you have to take a global view, global vision. If a startup are only talking about a national view, a national solution, you shouldn't be interested in them. If this solution is too regional, that means they're too small. So you have to rethink about that strategy for that. Okay, I'm going to spend a little bit of time to talk about the China Star Program. We developed a program to bring the entrepreneurs from all over the world to China. Why? Because we believe China has one large market. China has lots of capital, are ready to commercialize technologies from Russia, from other countries. We believe in other countries there are two things missing. One is a large market. Second is capital. But these two things, China has it. And China need technologies from outside of China. That's why China go to all over the world to buy technologies. China go to America to buy technology. American says no. China go to Europe, European Union to buy technologies. After Brexit announcement, the vote, and the whole financial sector in London crashed. Stock crashed, banking crashed, everything crashed. But surprisingly, the Chinese investment into UK result in more than 1 billion British pound within 30 days of that announcement. So Chinese investor didn't leave. Why is that? Because China need Western technologies. So China Star Program is trying to help to do that, to bring the Russian company to China for China knowledge and for partnership and for funding to help you to realize that through our platform. We have more than 500 investors will receive those companies. Last program we did, it was last month in June, and they have more than 500 companies, investors there, meeting them. And we'll visit Alibaba, visit Tencent, visit JD.com, large Chinese companies, to learn from their successful stories and do the company visits, etc. And our next program is from October 28th to November 2nd. So I invite you to join this program. We'll be in Xi'an, the ancient capital of China, and we will be in Shanghai, in Hangzhou, and in Shenzhen, in Guangzhou. So we're going to have a great time, and I hope the Russian companies, startups will join this program and to really benefit from the Chinese market and Chinese capital. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm sorry to expand my allowed time for more than half hours. I really apologize for that. Thank you. Have a good evening.